Welcome back to the deep dive. You've handed us a stack of sources that is truly massive this time. It spans everything from the high-velocity future of computing to the, well, surprisingly salty secrets hiding in your kitchen cabinet.
It's quite a mix.
And it even gets into the very grounded reality of whether housing is an achievable goal anymore. It's a classic deep dive, linking that corporate warfare to, everyday economic pain points.
That's absolutely right. Our mission here is synthesis. We're taking these seemingly disconnected threads, like the AI arms race between Google and OpenAI, for instance.
Right.
And then linking that to a major corporate food scandal, analyzing the growing risk liabilities that come with AI, and finally diving deep into policy ideas swirling around housing affordability and, of course, inflation.
So the goal is to find the pattern.
We need to find the underlying economic and ethical patterns connecting all these stories for you.
Okay, let's unpack this and jump right into the future. We have this source shock that Google's Gemini is reportedly better than its rivals. And the feeling from people who've tested it is almost euphoric.
Yeah. We have this great quote from Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff. He said he's not going back. He literally said, "The leap is insane. Reasoning, speed, images, video, everything is sharper and faster."
And what's fascinating here is, contextualizing Benioff's excitement. He has a very clear history of showing up late and very loudly to the hottest trades.
Okay.
We can't forget his big pushes, the metaverse in 2021 or the NFT cloud in 2022.
Neither of which aged particularly well.
Not at all. So his excitement now, it signals that the narrative is definitely hitting the mainstream. It's becoming something conventional buyers need to pay attention to, but it might not be a bleeding edge signal.
But the sources do suggest a huge performance jump. When you test these models side by side, say asking for consensus odds on the next Fed head or a rate cut, the speed difference with Gemini was notable. It was much, much faster.
And this is where the differences between the top three Gemini, ChatGPT, and Perplexity, they really become clear. So Gemini is fast, ChatGPT is, generally synthesizing.
But Perplexity has an indexing advantage that its users truly value. It quickly pulls up specific articles and sources like from The Economist or the Financial Times and lets you vet the quality of the data right away.
So you can see where it got the information from.
Exactly. That ability to fact-check saves a ton of time and, it builds confidence.
The competition is just accelerating so rapidly. It feels like those old Intel versus AMD processor wars. It's a velocity battle.
It is.
The sources also point out the real war isn't just in the search bar. It's about who powers the agents that live inside the software we already use. Which is why it's so surprising that Apple, with Siri, seems to be so far behind the curve on this.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you just have to look at the prediction markets that track capital risk. The Kochi data on who will be the best AI at the end of 2025, it has KHI, Kumo, leading dramatically at 83%.
Wow, 83. Right.
We look at markets like Kochi because they show where people are actually putting their money. And what's really striking is that one of the biggest names in the market isn't even on that specific list. It just shows that future expectations are being driven by a fast-moving, competitive mob, not inertia.
So the future of computing is moving faster than ever, but we're still running into the same human problems, hype, and occasionally really poor corporate standards. And while we're on big tech's accounting, let's bring that same level of scrutiny down to the grocery store aisle. We have a scandal brewing with Campbell Soup.
This is truly shocking, not just for the comments, but for who made them. The company's vice president and chief information security officer, Martin Ball, was secretly recorded.
The CISO.
The CISO. And in the recording, he allegedly called the company's product stuff for poor people and said he wouldn't eat it himself because of bioengineered meat and critically high sodium.
And the lawsuit also claims there was overtly racist language, specifically targeting his Indian coworkers, which is just appalling. But what surprised me was his role. The chief information security officer.
Right.
An executive in charge of protecting data, not developing recipes. Why is he even commenting on bioengineered meat? What does that signal about the internal chaos?
It signals a massive disconnect, and it shines this huge spotlight on the health angle he brought up. I mean, let's look at the sodium data, because this isn't just bad PR.
No.
It's a systemic health risk. The source material noted a single can of their spaghetti soup has 600 milligrams of sodium. The American Heart Association recommends about 1,500 a day.
So that one can is more than a third of your daily recommendation? That's a huge chunk for just one little meal.
A huge chunk. And the stakes are high. Hypertension and heart disease, the #1 killer of women in America, are directly linked to high sodium intake. This whole scandal really highlights why the U.S. is ranked as the #1 unhealthiest country for food.
We know firing the executive is mandatory. But what's the CEO's critical next step here? I mean, firing one person doesn't fix the supply chain built on high sodium for a company with $10 billion in sales.
A company of this scale, they have to use this PR crisis as a pivot point. The CEO needs to immediately emphasize their heritage, highlight their low-sodium and diet-grade products.
Ones that get overlooked.
Exactly. And show a comprehensive review of their hiring practices. They have to show the market they are serious about product quality and supporting their own people.
And this issue of corporate risk, it flows directly into our next topic. The soaring cost of risk management in the AI age. Insurers are starting to refuse coverage for AI errors and omissions. E&O.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't the whole point of AI efficiency that it's supposed to reduce human error? So why are insurers balking? It seems to contradict the whole premise.
That's a great question. And they're balking because the nature of the error has changed. Underwriters, they rely on decades of data on human error to price premiums.
Right. They know what a human mistake costs.
They do. Humans make mistakes one at a time. But AI makes mistakes at scale, dramatically, rapidly, and that makes quantifying the risk nearly impossible. The key liability issue is just the sheer scale of the potential damage.
Like that example from the sources, Air Canada's chatbot, it just started making up unauthorized offers and discounts because the guardrails weren't good enough.
Exactly. And the legal angle is crucial. Companies are terrified of liability if the AI is built off their own internal language model, making the company ultimately responsible for those huge scaled errors.
So what's the industry's response to this patchwork of liability issues popping up?
They're pushing hard for a uniform national policy, an AI super PAC leading the future. It's industry-backed, and it just launched a $10 million campaign to lobby Congress.
And the motivation here, according to the sources, is not really about consumer protection, is it?
No, it's about expense mitigation. The industry wants to avoid the cost and the headache of dealing with 50 different state laws and precedents. They want one set of federal bills where they can focus their lobbying and basically, write the rules.
And here's where it gets really interesting on the financial side. The famous investor Michael Burry has accused big tech of cooking the books. He's claiming companies like Nvidia are using questionable accounting.
He's focusing on depreciation, which, for anyone not in finance, is basically how a company expenses the cost of an asset over its lifespan.
Okay.
Burry claims big tech is setting the useful life of these AI chips at 5 to 6 years for depreciation, when they allegedly burn out and need replacement in just 2 to 3 years.
So if I buy an expensive chip and I claim it lasts 6 years when it really only lasts 3, what's the financial trick?
You are artificially lowering your cost today. If you say it lasts 6 years, you only expense 1/6 of the cost each year. If it only lasts 3, you should be expensing 1/3.
So you're pushing costs into the future and making today's profits look bigger.
Dramatically bigger. If Burry's math is right, this would understate costs by an estimated $176 billion through 2028. Just artificially inflating profits.
That is a staggering claim. And Nvidia, one of the engines of the American economy, they were forced to respond.
They were. They sent a private memo to Wall Street analysts refuting it, citing their robust free cash flow, $22 billion last quarter, and sales to profitable hyperscalers.
But the fact they had to respond at all.
The significance is that Burry's voice still matters enough to compel a corporate giant like Nvidia to defend its accounting, which just highlights the incredible scrutiny this sector is under.
Okay, let's transition to the macro picture and the affordability squeeze. We have this list from Barron's outlining 10 economic wins from the previous administration. Things like making capital expenditure expensing permanent and the Genius Act framework for stablecoins.
And those are relevant policy ideas. I mean, they affect business investment and financial certainty. Permanent CapEx expense is a huge incentive for businesses to invest right now.
But those policy wins are running headlong into this affordability crisis.
They are. Inflation is down to 2.4%, but the core issue remains this persistent wage stalling and high prices in key areas. It's leading directly to pain points around housing, food, and energy.
And the cost of risk is hitting homeowners directly. Homeowners insurance costs are expected to spike 16% over the next 2 years.
16%, 8% in 2026, another 8% in 2027. Nationwide, insurance now accounts for 9% of a typical U.S. homeowner's total monthly payment.
What's that acronym? PITI.
PITI principle? interest, taxes, and insurance. And that 9% for insurance is the highest average on record. What's driving this is the high cost of rebuilding.
So what's behind those costs?
Well, construction costs have jumped 40% just since 2020. It's driven by soaring material costs. U.S. cement production is down to 2%. We have lumber shortages and massive, painful shortages in skilled trades, plumbers, carpenters.
Right.
And because of all this, insurance companies are just leaving high-risk states entirely. We've seen residents who are paying $3,000 a year suddenly face quotes of $10,000 or more overnight because their carrier just pulled out. The rates are becoming astronomical.
This kind of pain leads to big, bold policy ideas. Like in Florida, Governor DeSantis proposed eliminating property tax, the homestead exemption for Florida residents.
Who already have no state income tax.
Right. This would impact about $18 to $21 billion of the state's $61 billion in property tax revenue.
The idea is philosophical. Homeowners should own their property free and clear without paying, rent to the government. The goal is to incentivize ownership for residents, especially younger buyers.
But what's the risk?
The risk, as the source notes, is that without a massive immediate growth in supply, this move just becomes a huge gift to current owners and causes home prices to spike sharply.
So it could actually hurt younger buyers.
It could. The suggested safeguard was to maybe keep taxing investment properties differently to protect the primary residents.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the evolving career path, because this feeds right back into affordability. We have a startling finding from the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. College graduates are no longer finding jobs faster than high school graduates.
This is critical. The current youth unemployment rate for ages 20 to 24 is 9.2%. And the decline is linked to a slowdown in white-collar hiring, partly because of AI investment.
But there's a structural problem too, right, with the curriculum?
A huge one. Only about 60% of degrees are in high-demand fields like business, STEM, healthcare, engineering, degrees in liberal arts, social sciences. They're dragging that average way down, making the debt load so much harder to justify.
So what does this all mean for the future worker? What does success look like now?
Well, the shortage in skilled trades, plumbers, HVAC, electricians, is making those professions highly valuable and lucrative. But if you're aiming for high-end professional work, we saw a fascinating glimpse into the McKinsey hiring model.
And they look beyond the simple MBA.
Far beyond it. They look for high performance in core skills, SATs, above 1,400, on your feet math questions, and crucially, demonstrated leadership and impact in non-business activities.
Like military service or public service?
Absolutely. They see those as markers of character, service, and the ability to operate outside a comfortable environment. It's a huge shift in what the elite firms are prioritizing.
This deep dive has truly spanned the spectrum. From the incredible velocity of the AI war, to the uncomfortable truths about corporate accountability in the food industry, to the risk transfer headache in insurance, and this ongoing painful debate over affordability.
And the thread connecting all these stories is the increasing demand for transparency and accountability. Whether it's from AI developers on liability standards or food executives on high sodium, the consumer and the citizen are demanding honesty about risk and health.
That brings us to our final provocative thought for you to chew on. The source material highlighted this massive lucrative shortage of tradespeople, plumbers, electricians, and at the same time, this high unemployment rate for recent college grads. We also learned what firms like McKinsey are looking for: leadership, impact, hard math skills. So given this landscape, if you were advising a high school senior right now, is the higher risk of a liberal arts degree worth the debt? Or should they focus on a high-demand trade apprenticeship first? What is the smartest investment in education today? We will see you on the next deep dive.